Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Gammavamahe Kavin Kavinam Upavashravastramam Jeshtarajam Brahmanan Brahmanaspata Anushrunnasri Dasadanam. Om Mahaganadipataye Namaha. Om Mahaganadipataye Namaha. Om Mahaganadipataye Namaha. Om Namaha. Om Narayana Namaha. Om Madhvaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Om Vishnave Namaha. Matsudraya Namaha. Trivikramaయ Namaha, Vamanaయ Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Hrishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya, Damodaraయ Namaha, Sankarshnaya Namaha, Vasudevaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, Niruddhaya Namaha, Purushottamaya Namaha, Dokshaya Namaha, Narasimhaya Namaha, Achyutaya Namaha, Janardhaya Namaha, Upendraya Namaha, Hare Namaha, Sri Krishnaya Namaha, Hare Om, Hare Om. Dear friends, we are starting a little bit early because we got so much commitments for tomorrow, pray and tomorrow online puja from my house. Today we are reading the chapter 26th chapter of the Dashamaskanda of Mahabhagavata Purana. In this chapter, Krishna Lela is continued. Various kinds of Krishna Lela activities of Krishna is considered in the chapter called Wonderful Krishna. Wonderful. In this chapter, Nanda Maharaja described Krishna's opulences to the cowherd man as Nanda had heard of them from Gargamuni. Because Nanda Raja had details of Krishna heard from Gargamuni when he came to do his Chudakarma and also Upanayana and all these things. The cowherd men, unaware of Lord Krishna's power, were amazed to see his various extraordinary activities. The men approached Nanda Maharaja and told him that after seeing how Krishna, a boy only 7 years old, had lifted the mountain Govardhana Parvata and how he had previously killed the demoness Putana and generated extreme attraction in the hearts of everyone in the Vrindavana, the men had become doubtful and bewildered about how Sri Krishna could possibly have taken birth in the unsuitable environment of a cowherd community. Nanda replied by relating to them that what Gargamuni has told him about Sri Krishna. Gargamuni had said that in the previous three ages, Nanda's boy had manifested himself in white, red, and yellow forms, whereas now in the Dwapara Yuga, he had assumed his darkish blue form, a sky blue form, Krishna Rupa, because he descended as the son of Vasudeva. One of his many names is Vasudeva, and he has innumerable other names indicating his many qualities and activities. Gargamuni, who conducted the Upanayana ceremony of Krishna and Balarama, had predicted that Krishna would prevent all sorts of catastrophes in Gokula. He is going to prevent, spread unlimited auspiciousness, and increase the ecstasy of the cowherd men and women. In a previous age, in the previous life, he had provided protection for the saintly Brahmanas when they were harassed by low-class dacoits and there was no proper ruler in the society. As the demons in the higher planets can never defeat the demigods, as the demons in the higher planets can never defeat gods who have Lord Vishnu on their side, no enemy can ever defeat those who love Krishna. In his affinity for his devotees and in his opulence and power, Krishna is just like Lord Narayana himself. Overjoyed and awestruck by the Gargamuni's statements, the cowherd men concluded that Krishna must be an empowered representative of Supreme Lord Narayana. Thus, they worshipped him and Nanda Maharaja. The shloka starts with the first shloka, Shuka Uvacha. Shuka Maharishi is telling Parishit Maharaj, Yemum Vidani Karmani Gopa Krishnasya Vikshate Atadvirya Vidhaprochuhu Samabhyetya Suvistitaha. Shukamani is telling the Parishit Maharaja, in the meaning of this shloka is like this. Shuka Maharishi said, the cowherd men were astonished when they saw Krishna's activities, such as lifting Govardhana hill, unable to understand his transcendental potency. They approached Nanda Maharaja and spoke as follows. During Lord Krishna's pastimes of lifting Sri Govardhana hill, The cowherd men simply enjoyed the spiritual bliss of the Lord's activities without analyzing them. But afterwards, when they had returned to their homes, perplexity arose within their hearts. Thus they thought, now we have directly seen child Krishna lift Govardhana hill, and we remember how he killed Putana and other demons, extinguished the forest fire, and so on. At the time, we thought that these extraordinary acts occurred because of a benediction from the Brahmanas or because of Nanda Maharaja's great fortune, or that perhaps this boy had achieved the mercy of Lord Narayana and was thus empowered by him. But all these presumptions are false because an ordinary 7-year-old child could never hold up the king mountains of a 7 whole days. Krishna is not a human being. He must be the Supreme Lord himself. But on the other hand, child Krishna loves it when we cuddle him. And he becomes morose when we, his uncles and well-wishers, simply worldly covered men, do not give him attention. He appears to become hungry and thirsty, steals yogurt and milk, sometimes plays tricks, tells lies, chatters childishly, and tends the cows. If he is actually the Supreme Lord, why would he do these things? Don't they indicate that he is an ordinary human child? We are totally unable to establish the truth of his identity. Therefore, let us go and inquire from the highly intelligent king of Praja, the Nanda Maharaja, and he shall free us from our doubts. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, the covered men thus made up their minds, and then they entered Nanda Maharaja's great assembly hall and questioned him as described in the following verse. The second shloka says, Balakasya edethani karmanyatyudutani vai katamarhatasau janma grameshtatma jugupsitam. The second shloka meaning, the covered men said, since this boy performed such extraordinary activities, how could he warrant a birth among worldly men like us? A birth that for him would seem contemptible. An ordinary living being cannot avoid unpleasant circumstances, but the Supreme Controller can always make perfect arrangement for his pleasure. Ya suptayano balaka karene kena leelaya katam bibrit girvaram pushkaram gajaradira. How could this 7-year-old boy playfully hold up the great Govardhana hill on one left hand in the left little finger just for 7 days, continuously day and night, just as a mighty elephant holds up a lotus flower? As a mere infant who had hardly yet opened his eyes, he drank the breast milk of the powerful demon Putana and then sucked out her very life air, as well as just the force of time sucks out of the youth of one's body. The word vyaya in this verse indicates that the youth of lifespan in general. With irresistible power, time takes away our life, and that time is actually Lord Krishna himself. Thus, in the case of the powerful witch Putana, Lord Krishna accelerated the time process and within an instant withdrew the duration of her life. Here the covered men mean to say, how could a mere infant who could barely open his eyes so easily kill a very powerful demoness? Once, when only 3 months old, little Krishna was crying and kicking up his feet as he lay beneath the huge cart. Then the cart fell and turned upside down simply because it was struck by the tip of his toe. At the age of 1, while sitting peacefully, he was taken up into the sky by the demon Trinavarta. But baby Krishna grabbed the demon's neck, causing him great pain, and thus killed him. The covered men who loved Krishna as an ordinary child were astonished by all these activities. A newborn infant cannot ordinarily kill a powerful witch, and one would hardly think that a 1-year-old baby could kill a demon who has kidnapped him and carried him up into the sky But Krishna did all of these wonderful things, and the cowherd men were enhancing their love of him by remembering and discussing his activities. Once his mother tied him with ropes to the mortar because she had caught him stealing butter. Then, crawling on his hands, he dragged the mortar between the pair of Arjuna trees and pulled them down. The two Arjuna trees were old and thick, and they towered about little Krishna's courtyard. Nevertheless, they were pulled down quite easily by the nighty child Krishna. Another time, when Krishna was tending the calves in the forest together with the Balarama and the cowherd boys, the demon Bakasura came with the intention of killing Krishna. But Krishna seized this inimical demon by the mouth and tore him apart. Desiring to kill Krishna, the demon Vatsa disguised himself as a calf and entered among Krishna's calves. But Krishna killed the demon. Using his body, enjoyed the sport, knocking kapita fruits down from the trees. Together with Lord Balarama, Krishna killed Jackass demon and all his friends, thereby securing the safety of the Talavana forest, which abounded with fully ripened palm fruits. Long ago, the powerful demons Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born of the goddess Diti. Therefore, demons are commonly called Daityas because they are sons of Diti, or Daityas, meaning descendants of Diti. Dhenukasura, the ass demon, terrorized the Talavana forest with his friends, but Sri Krishna and Balarama killed them just as modern governments kill terrorists who harass the innocent people. After arranging for the mighty Lord Balarama to kill terrible demon Pralambasura, Krishna saved Rajas, cowherd boys, and their animals from a forest fire. Krishna chastised the most poisonous serpent Kaliya, and after humbling him, he drove him forcibly from the lake of the Yamuna. In this way, the Lord made the water of the river free of the snake's powerful poison. Dear Nanda Maharaja, how is it that we and all the other residents of Brajabhumi cannot give up our constant affection for your son? And how is it that he is so spontaneously attracted to us? The very word Krishna means attraction, all attractive one. Krishna meaning of the word Krishna is the all attractive one. The residents of Vrindavana could not give up their constant love, anuraga, for Lord Krishna. Their attitude toward him was not particularly theistic because they were unsure whether he was God or not. But he attracted all their love precisely because, as good as God, he is the all-attractive person, the supreme object of our love. The cowherd men also asked, how is it that young Krishna feels such constant love for him, for us? In fact, the Supreme Lord loves all living beings who are eternally his children. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna dramatically declares his affection for Arjuna and urges Arjuna to reciprocate that love by surrendering to him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his prayers to Lord Krishna, states that Etadri Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Duradaivam Idrishyam Ihajani Anuragaha. My Lord, you are so merciful and toward me, but I am so unfortunate that love for you has not awakened within me. Shikshastaka 2. In this statement, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also uses the word anuraga. Our misfortune is that we cannot reciprocate the anuraga or loving affection that the Lord feels for us. Although we are infinitesimal and insignificant, and the Lord is infinitely attractive, somehow we do not give him our love. we must accept responsibility for this foolish decision, since to surrender to God or not is the essential expression of our free will. The Krishna consciousness movement provides an efficient, systematic program to keep conditioned souls revive their original blissful consciousness, which is love of God. Krishna consciousness, the intricacies of Krishna consciousness are so wonderful that even Krishna's eternal associates, the residents of Vrindavana, are the intricacies of Krishna consciousness are so wonderful that even Krishna's eternal associates, the residents of Vrindavana, are astonished by them, as shown by these verses. क्व सप्तहायनो बालः क्व महाद्रिविदारणं ततो नो जायते शंका व्रजनाते तवात्मजे. On the one hand, this boy is only 7 years old. On the other hand, we see that he has lifted the great hill of Govardhana. Therefore, O King of Praja, a doubt about your son arises within us. Nanda Maharaja said, O coward man, just hear my words and let all your doubts concerning my son be gone. Some time ago, Gargamuni spoke to me as follows about this boy. Srila Sridhara Swami comments, the words previously heard from Gargacharya awakened Nanda Maharaja to the truth about Krishna, and thus by Nanda's constantly remembering his activities, all thoughts about their being impossible ceased in him. Now he is instructing the coward man with the same words. Gargamuni had said, your son Krishna appears as an incarnation in every millennium. In the past, he assumed 3 different colors, white, red, and yellow, and now he has appeared in a blackish smoky color, a cloud's color, bluish black. This and next 6 verses are taken from the 8th chapter of this canto, in which Gargamuni instructs Nanda Maharaja about Nanda's son Krishna. The transaction found herein for these verses are based on those of his divine age, in the chapter 8, where the verses originally appear. The reader will find extensive purports of Sri Prabhupada. For many reasons, this beautiful son of yours sometimes appeared previously as a son of Vasudeva. Therefore, those who are learned sometimes call this child Vasudeva. For this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities of activity. These are known to me, but people in general do not understand them. Yeshava Sreya Adyasada Gopanu Gopa Gola Kulanandana Gopa Kulanandana Yeshava Shreya Adhyasad Gopa Gola Gopa Gokulanandana Anina Sarva Durghani Yo Manjastarastata Yo Manjaristata. To increase the transcendental bliss of the coward men of Gokula, this child will always act auspiciously for you, and by his grace only you will surpass all difficulties. O Nanda Maharaja, as recorded in the history, when there is an irregular, incapable of government, Indra having been dethroned, and when honest people were being harassed and disturbed by thieves, this child appeared in order to curb the rogues and to protect the people and enable them to flourish. Demons cannot harm the gods, who always have Lord Vishnu on their side. Similarly, any person or group attached to all auspicious Krishna cannot be defeated by enemies. Srila Prabhupada has recently especially indicated in this connection that just as a Lord Krishna's associates could not be defeated by Krishna or a Kamsa, Krishna's associates could not be defeated by Kamsa. So his modern day devotees will not be defeated by their demonic demonic opponents, nor will the Lord's devotees be defeated by the internal enemies, the lusty, materialistic senses. This is very important sentence to remember. The demons cannot harm the gods. Similarly, those devotees who support demons could not defeat the devotees of God Venkateshwara or Govinda, who always have Lord Venkateshwara on their side. Similarly, any person or group attached to all auspicious Krishna cannot be defeated by enemies. Srila Prabhupada has especially indicated in this connection that just as Lord Krishna associates sets could not be defeated by Kamsa, so his modern day devotees will not be defeated by their demonic opponents, nor will the Lord's devotees be defeated by the internal enemies, the lusty materialistic senses. We came to the shloka number 22. Tasmananda kumarayom narayana samo gunai shriya kirtyanubhavena tatkarmasu navismayaha. Tatkarmasu navismayaha. Therefore, O Nanda Maharaja, this child of yours is as good as Narayana in his transcendental qualities, opulence, name, fame, influence. He is exactly like Narayana. Thus, you should not be astonished by his activities. Nanda here sports to the covered men and concluding remarks of Gargamuni, who spoke at the secret birth ceremony of Lord Krishna. Shloka number 23. Ityadvamam samadishya gargecha sugruham gate manye Narayanasyantum Krishnam Krishnakarinam. After Gargam Maharishi spoke these words to me and returned home, I began to consider that Krishna, who keeps us free from trouble, is actually an expansion of Lord Narayana. The 24th sloka, Iti Nandavacham Shrutva Garga Geetam Prajopapa Garga Geetam Prajokasaha Drushtra Shruta Anubhavaste Krishna Syamita Tejase Muditananda Manurcha Krishnancha Gata Vismaya. Sukha Maharshi continued, having heard Nanda Maharaja relate to the statements of Gargamuni, the residents of Vrindavana became enlivened. Their perplexity has gone, and they worship Nanda and Lord Krishna with a great respect. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that in this verse the word Anuruchi indicates that the residents of Vrindavana honor Nanda and Krishna with such offerings as fragrances, garlands, garments brought from their homes. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura adds that the residents of Vrindavana honor Nanda and Krishna with loving offerings of jewels and gold coins. Apparently, Lord Krishna was playing in the forest when this conversation took place. So, when he returned home, the residents of Vrindavana encouraged him by decorating him with beautiful yellow garments, necklaces, armlets, earrings, and crowns, and by showing encouraged him by decorating him with beautiful yellow garments, necklaces, armlets, earrings, and crowns, and by shouting, all glories to the jewel of Vrindavana. Now, the last shloka of the 25th shloka. Deve varshati yajna viplavarsha vajrashmashrashta nilhai sidatpala pashasti atmasharanam društvanukampatsvayan uttvate kakarene shailamabalo lelo lilo chilindra yatha bibbadosya mapan mahendra madabit priyanna indro gavam. Indra became angry when his sacrifice was disrupted, and thus he caused rain and hail fall on Gokula, accompanied by lightning and powerful winds, all of which brought great sufferings to the cowherds, animals, and women there. When Lord Krishna, who is by nature always compassionate, saw the condition of those who had only him as their shelter, he smiled broadly and lifted Govardhana hill with one hand, left hand, little finger, just as a small child picks up a mushroom to play with it. Holding up in the hill, he protected the covered community continuously for 7 days. May he, Govinda, the Lord of the cows and destroyer of the Indra's false pride, be pleased with us, be pleased with us, be pleased with us. The word Indra means Lord of King. Thus, in this verse, Krishna is pointedly called Indragavam, Lord of the cows. In fact, he is the real Indra, the real ruler of everyone is Krishna, and the gods are merely his servants, representing his supreme will. It is apparent from this and the previous verses in this chapter that Lord Krishna's lifting Govardhana hill made quite an impression on the simple covered men of Vrindavana, and they repeatedly remembered this feat. Certainly, anyone who soberly and objectively considers the activities of young Krishna will surrender to him and become his eternal devotee in loving devotional service. That is the rational conclusion one should come to after reading this chapter. All the devotees, after listening to this Krishna Lela, his eternal devotee on living devotion service. That is the rational conclusion one should come to after reading this chapter. Thus, and the purports of humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 26th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Wonderful Krishna. The next chapter, Lord Indra and Mother Saurabhi offer prayers. This chapter describes how the Saurabhi cow and Indra, having seen the amazing power of Lord Krishna, performed a bathing ceremony for him. Ashamed of having attacked Vrindavana with a violent storm, Indra secretly came before Lord Krishna, offered obeisances and praised him. Indra stated that although the Sri Krishna is never caught in the current of material illusion which is born of ignorance, he nevertheless accepts a human-like body and performs various activities to establish religious principles and chastise the wicked. By this means, he crushes the false prestige of those who presume themselves great controllers. Indra went on to declare that Krishna is the Father, Guru, and Lord of all living entities. Indra went on to declare that Krishna is the Father Guru and Lord of all living entities, and that in the form of time he is the agent of their punishment. Satisfied with Indra's prayers, Sri Krishna told him that he had stopped the Indra Vajna, so that Indra, puffed up as he was with false pride, would remember the Lord. Persons intoxicated by material opulence never see him standing before them with the rod of punishment in his hand. Therefore, if Lord Krishna desires the actual good fortune of some person, he brings him down from his position of opulence. Lord Krishna ordered Indra to return to his proper position in heaven and to serve there without egoism. Indra, along with the cow Saurabhi from the heaven, then performed a bathing ceremony of Krishna using the water of the heavenly Gangas and the milk of the mother Saurabhi. Indra and the cow took this opportunity to bestow upon the Lord the name of Govinda, and the gods showered flowers and recited various prayers. This is the 27th chapter called Govinda Abhishekam. Krishna is called Govinda because he protected the cows. So it's Govinda Abhisheka. Krishna Abhisheka is also called Govinda Abhisheka. Shukavacha Govardhane Dute Shaile Golokada Brajat. Govardhane Dute Shaile Asaradrakshate Braje Golokada Brajavajat Krishnam Surabhishaka Evacha. Shuka Maharshi said, after Krishna had lifted Govardhana hill and thus protected the inhabitants of Vraja from the terrible rainfall and hailstones, Saurabhi, the mother of cows, came from her planet to see Krishna. She was accompanied by Indra. The word Goloka here indicates that material planet called Goloka, which is filled with exceptional cows. Saurabhi went joyfully to see Lord Krishna, but Indra went fearfully. As indicated by this verse, Lord Krishna had to adopt extraordinary measures to protect his Vrindavana associates from Indra's obnoxious and offensive attack of hailstone and heavy thunder rain. Certainly, Indra was ashamed and also nervous about his future. Having acted improperly, he had fearfully gone to seek the shelter of Lord Brahma, who then ordered him to take along Saurabhi from the material Goloka planet to go to see Krishna. Indra was very ashamed of having offended the Lord Krishna. Approaching him in a solitary place, Indra fell down and lay his helmet, whose effulgency was as brilliant as the sun, upon the Lord's lotus feet. The specific solitary place where Indra approaches Sri Krishna is mentioned by the sage Sri Vaishampayan Maharishi in the Harivamsha, Vishnu Purana. Sa Dadarsho Posham Vai Govardhana Sile Tale. He saw him, Krishna, sitting at the base of the Govardhana hill. From the commentaries of the Acharyas, we understand that Lord Krishna wanted to provide solitary meeting for Indra so that he could not be further humiliated. Indra came to surrender and beg forgiveness, and the Lord allowed him to do so privately. Indra had now heard of and seen the transcendental power of omnipotent of Krishna, and his false pride in being the Lord of the three worlds was thus defeated. Holding his hands together in supplication, he addressed the Lord as follows. King Indra said, "Your transcendental form, a manifestation of a pure goodness, is undisturbed by change, shining with knowledge, and devoid of passion and ignorance. In you does not exist the mighty flow of the modes of material nature, which is based on illusion and ignorance." The great Bhagavatam commentator Sridhar Swami has masterfully explained the three Sanskrit elements of this profound verse. The Sanskrit word Dhamma has several meanings: a dwelling place, house, abode, and so on, a favorite thing or a person, delight or pleasure, form of appearance, power, strength, majesty, glory, splendor, or light. Concerning the first set of meanings, the Vedanta Sutra states that the absolute truth is the source and resting place of all existence. And in the first verse of Bhagavatam, that absolute truth is said to be Krishna. Although Lord Krishna exists in his own Dhamma or abode called Krishna Loka, he himself is the abode of all existence, as Arjuna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita, where he addresses Krishna as Paramadhama, Parandhama, Krishna as Parandhama, supreme abode. The very name Krishna indicates that all attractive person, and thus Lord Krishna, the source of all beauty and pleasure, is certainly the favorite thing or person, delight and pleasure. Ultimately, these terms can refer only to Krishna. Dhamma also refers to form of appearance, and also Indra offered these prayers. He was in fact directly seeing in the form of a Krishna before him. As clearly explained in the Vedic literature, Lord Krishna's power, strength, majesty, splendor, and effulgency are all contained within his transcendental body, and thus attest to the infinite glories of the Lord. Srila Sridhara Swami has brilliantly summarized all these meanings of the word Dhamma by giving the Sanskrit term Swarupa as a synonym. The word Swarupa means one's own form or shape, and also one's own condition, a character or nature. Since Lord Krishna, being pure spirit, is non-different from his body, there is absolutely no difference between the Lord and his visible form. By contrast, in this material world, we conditioned souls are all distinctly different from our bodies. Whether those bodies be male, female, black, white, or whatever, all of us are eternal souls, different from our temporary filmy bodies. When the word Swarupa is applied to us, it especially indicates our spiritual form, because our own form is in fact our own condition, character, or nature eternally. Thus, the liberated condition in which one's outward form is one's deepest spiritual nature is called Swarupa. Primarily, however, this term refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is all indicated in this verse by the words Tava Dhamma, as explained by Sridhara Swami. Sridhara Swami has explained that here the word Santam means always in the same form. Santam can also mean undisturbed, free from passion, or purified. According to Vedic philosophy, all changes in the world is caused by the influence of passion and ignorance. The passionate mode is creative and the ignorant mode is destructive. The passionate mode is creative and ignorant mode is destructive. Whereas the mode of goodness, sattva, is a serene and sustaining. In many ways, this verse emphasizes that Lord Krishna is free from the modes of nature. The words Vishuddha Sattvam, Santam, Dvasta Rajasa, Tamasakam, and Guna Samprova na Vidyate all indicate this. Unlike Krishna, we change from one body to another because of our involvement with the modes of nature. The various transformations of material forms are impelled by the modes of nature, which are themselves set in motion by the influence of time. Therefore, one who is free from the material modes of nature is challenges. Therefore, one who is free from the material modes of nature is changeless and eternally satisfied in blissful spiritual existence. Thus, the word Santam indicates that the Lord is undisturbed by change, since he is free from the material modes of nature. According to this verse, the powerful flow of the material modes of nature, namely passion, stupidity, and mundane piety, are based on Agrahana, a grahana, which Srila Sridhar Swami has translated in as ignorance. Since the Sanskrit root graha means to take, accept, grasp, comprehend. Grahana means grasp, exactly in the sense of to grasp an idea or fact. Therefore, agrahana means one's failure to understand one's spiritual position, and this failure causes one to fall into the violent currents of material existence. An additional meaning of the word agrahana is derived when it is divided into the compound agrahana. Agra means the first top of best, and hana means killing. The best part of our existence is the pure soul, which is eternal in contradistinction to the temporary material body and mind. Thus, one who chooses material existence over Krishna consciousness is in fact killing the best part of himself, the soul, which in its pure state can enjoy Krishna consciousness unlimitedly. We offer our respectable obeisance to the lotus feet of Srila Sridhara Swamiji also and Lord Sri Krishna also, and thank him for his enlightening comments on this verse. Om Namostu Anantaya Sahasramurtaye Sahasrapadakshirubha Sahasranamne Purushaashtaye Sahasrakoti Yugadarane Namaha Sahasrakoti Yugadarane Namaha Akashat Paridamyatagat Sagaram Sarvadeva Namaskaraha Srikesham Prigatyo Namaha Sarva Vedeshat Punyam Sarva Tirteshu Atpalam Tatpalam Puraptivasana Vasdevasya Vasante Jagatram Sarvaputrivaste Vasdevaste Kayana Vacha Mansenderva Buddhatmanava Pukadesa Bhavat Karomi Yadyat Saganam Parasmai Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Narayanaayeti Samarpayami. We are going to read full Govinda Abhisheka tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow we are doing online puja, so we are not able to see tomorrow. We will do it on day after tomorrow. Tomorrow we are engaged from 7 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock with morning online puja, Sarvadeva puja and Hiramba Ganapati Homa. All this will be done tomorrow. Thank you very much. Om Sudeva.